Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment to like and share the video so that, your friends can know what you're up to this morning. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Facebook and make sure you hit the notification button. We've talked about this before. They're throttling our videos, so if you want to get the notifications, you got to make sure that you've hit that notification button. Also, if you want to listen to us, you can listen to us via podcast on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, you name it. Just follow the link in the description of this video to find out what services are available. Also would like to remind you, if you haven't already done so, please visit fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. It is a cool place to go to find all sorts of pro Second Amendment swag. And, not just show your support for the Second Amendment outwardly, but also you can, actually support the Second Amendment, because every penny that you spend will go right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So where do you find that? That's fpcgear.com. All right, today's topic. Now, we all know that for some reason, anti-gunners are always trying to one-up themselves with really stupid ideas. Well, there is an idea that is currently being proposed in the state of Florida that I think you guys are going to, well, if you haven't already heard about it, you're going to realize just how idiotic, how idiotic it is. So I will let the news report share with you exactly what is going on there in the great state of Florida.
The images are disturbing. Children posing with guns.
Well, that's always a no-no. Kids shouldn't even be around guns or be playing with guns.
A new Florida bill would make it illegal for kids to post pictures of firearms, even BB guns or replicas, on social media. Parents, you could be held accountable and possibly face charges, attend a parenting education class, or do community service.
A responsible parent, should know that that gun should be locked away in a safe where a child cannot get to it.
Caress Latine says she believes it could help curb gun violence.
Whether it will ultimately solve the problem, I cannot say.
The bill targets children posing with a gun in a threatening or careless manner. Action News Jack's law and safety expert Dale Carson says the bill is too broad and says it's a restriction on free speech.
If it were passed, it's going to cause a lot of trouble for a whole lot of people.
Under the proposal, your firearm could be seized if your child uploads a picture with a gun without your permission. If approved, the bill will go into effect July 1st. Reporting in Duval County, Christy Turner, CBS 47 Action News, Jax.
All right, so now as you can see, pretty much, it's an asinine idea. Basically, if your child posts a picture of with a gun or something simulating a gun, like a BB gun, not only can they potentially be in trouble, but you as their parents can potentially be in trouble. Now, being that I am from the left coast, I figured that I wanted to bring on a Floridian, someone who you guys know very, very well. He's our good friend, Mike Piwowarski with Arms Room Radio, to talk about his perspective as a Floridian. Mike, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Craig. Thank you for having me.
Okay. I always tell you, some of the craziest gun stories come out of the state of Florida. I think this kind of qualifies as one of those.
Yeah, listen, we make fun of Florida man all the time, and now we've got a couple of real good Florida men making news, and they happen to be a senator and a representative in the Florida House.
Wow, that is it is beyond insane what it is that they're talking about here. Now, what are some of the complications as you can see it, as you see it here?
This law is just wrong from the start. What we're seeing again here is the liberal side trying to legislate parenthood, trying to legislate responsibility, into the child, rather than the parents, stepping forward and being the parents. We're gonna create laws where we don't need to create laws. There are already laws in place that say you cannot get on, your social media and threaten any government building, any government facility, any government officer. So this is already covered, whether or not the child has a gun or not in there. What this is inevitably going to lead into is, and I'm sure we'll get to this, is gun seizures. And it was another law to allow liberals to take the guns out of your hands, the adult, the law-abiding citizen, because your child, posted a picture. Now, I'm not talking about, if you're doing something incredibly wrong and you get a gun and you show something wrong. Again, there's laws in place that already cover that.
Right.
This law, like you said, is full of holes. The way this law reads right now is if you go to the range with your child and take a picture of your child holding up his target in one hand and his firearm in the other, and he says, "Look, I did really good today."
Mm-hmm.
Your child can now be charged with the crime in Florida, and you can have your firearm seized at your house.
Not just the firearm that was in the thing, but any firearm that you want.
Correct. That's the way they're trying to do this, is that any firearm could be seized. And this law is written. It's written. Let me see if I can give you a couple of quotes here. It says, any firearm, BB gun, air or gas powered gun or device displayed to resemble a firearm. So what if I'm taking a picture with my with my electronic shooter in front of my PlayStation or something like that? That's to resemble a firearm. How about if I'm a kid and I'm in Florida, I'm in my pool and I got my Super Soaker? Well, guess what, Craig? My Super Soaker is an air-powered, resembling a firearm. So does this mean they're coming to my house to take my child away for a misdemeanor crime, and they're going to seize the rest of the firearms because my kid was in a pool in Florida squirting somebody with a squirt gun?
Well, and that's, by the way, that's. Yeah, but see, and that's a great point. That even if the item that they have is a simulated firearm, they can still come and seize all of your guns as the parent.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is it's ridiculous on its face. They're trying to do what the liberals do. They're trying to sneak by gun laws based on emotion. Let's see how far it gets. We know we have a Republican-controlled, House and Senate here in Florida, but you know what? The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act went through last year, based on emotion as well.
Well, now, and that's the other thing is like, one of the things that I'm finding is the Republican Party has, at least over the last few decades or generations, has been pretty solid on the Second Amendment, and it seems like all of a sudden we're starting to see these cracks in the Republican Party where it's like the Second Amendment. They're so worried that the liberals are going to come after them and that they're going to be seen negatively that they're actually caving on fundamental civil rights, things like these red flag laws.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they are caving, and I don't know if they're caving because the party is fractured at the moment. It's tough to be a long-term in-office Republican at the moment because listen, the current administration wants the swamp drained. They don't care if you're in the swamp for 20 years on which side of the house. It's the whole idea is to get rid of the dead weight, and if you happen to be some of that dead weight on the Republican side, it's you also. So maybe they're a little afraid right now. Maybe they're not voting the way they should be voting. What the letter next to their name is. It's your guess is as good as mine on that. But this is what we've seen in Florida has been definitely emotionally based. That's come out, over the last year and a half, what's been coming out of the State House. Well, it goes on for much longer than that. We've had Republicans up here in Florida that have been voting along with whatever they're being paid to vote along with, whatever their next job is, as opposed to what they've been elected to do now.
That is beyond. Well, it's frustrating because like now I'm thinking, and part of the challenge is this, is that, you see it coming even from the top down. And the problem is that there are so many people, and I love a lot of what President Trump has done,
right.
But there are some things in particular when it comes to the Second Amendment that people feel like I don't need to question it. Well, if the president is okay with it, well, then I should be okay with it. And the thing is that it was really, if it weren't for the NRA and the gun community getting behind President Trump early, I don't know that he would have won that election. And I don't know, unless they keep the current collection of clowns on the Democratic side, I don't know if they put up a legitimate candidate. I don't know how he keeps that together if he and other Republicans continue to come against the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's true. And, the president has, he's a deal maker. And that's one of the things I think we like about him. He makes deals. He likes to find out what's best in the whole. He's not a guy who has to be, it's got to be 100%, of what he wanted. We know that he wants to get to the end state. And if that end state means getting through 80% of what he wants, and he's got to give up 20%, then he'll do it. And, as much as I'd love to have a president that is 100%, pro-gun all the way, getting rid of the National Firearms Act and all these other crazy restrictions that have been put on the Second Amendment. I think it was Mr. Alan Gottlieb over at the Second Amendment Foundation that told us one night, would you rather have a Democrat in office that votes against you, votes for you 0% of the time, or Republican in office that votes for you 80% of the time? You got to take what's best, and we'll move forward. And I think at this point I'll take the deal maker, but it doesn't mean I'm not nervous,
Oh yeah. Because I mean, we had a chance at national concealed carry reciprocity. We didn't get it. We had a shot at getting rid of federal gun-free school zones, and we didn't get it. I'm just saying that I think it's important that we all, and once again, I believe just like anything, I believe that the best people to come forward and challenge someone is a friend. And if we're friends, the president is our friend, then we ought to be able to be the people that can say, excuse me, Mr. President, that's not consistently pro-gun, or to some of our fellow Republicans in state legislatures to understand, look, this is not necessarily pro-gun. And I've dealt with that challenge here in the state of California, where I meet with a legislator and I have to tell them, here's the reason why your bill is not pro-gun. And no, we're not going to support it. In fact, we're going to have to oppose it because it's actually anti-gun. And, you would think they would, I don't know, listen to the people who read and analyze this stuff every day. But such is not the case. Yeah,
exactly. And not to get too often into the current administration, this guy listens. I think he listens, and he'll make up his mind. And I think even after he makes up his mind, if you bring him new evidence, he'll listen to it and maybe remake up his mind. We've seen that a couple of times. But you're right that we definitely have people in this party right now that are voting outside of the current administration. The levels below that are voting in the best interest of themselves or their pocket, not in the best interest of those that elected them.
Well, at least so far, I've heard very few Republicans introduce madness like what we're talking about today. I mean, once again, and it to me, it also gets to the point of, once again, it's not just guns. Now they want to get into, because of guns, they want to get into other stuff, like in this case, and you talked about it well, parenting.
Right.
Now they want to say, well, what is acceptable, what is not. So if someone is legally expressing their support or their exercising of their constitutional right, their constitutionally enumerated right.
Right.
How can you make that a criminal offense?
Yeah, again, we're legislating parenthood. If you get on right now with a firearm and you say I'm coming after kids at the school, or I'm coming after somebody individual, the law in Florida already exists where the police can come and have a conversation with you. And if you've made that threat and somebody else believes that threat is viable, you're going to jail. I don't need this silly misdemeanor crime, which gives them more authority to come take firearms out of my house.
Well, and now we're also talking about free speech, which all of these social media bills. There's one in New York where they literally want all of your search. They want all of your passwords and all of your search history. And the one in New York is so bad that if you've said anything, if you have to sign under oath, under the penalty of perjury, that you haven't deleted or amended any posts in the last 3 years. Right. Illinois, almost the same thing, where they want to look at your social media in order to determine what is acceptable. They don't even tell you, what is the sort of language that could potentially cause me to lose or not be able to get my firearm permit.
Yeah, listen, and New York City and New York itself, and we all know that New York State is run out of New York City. It's where the money is. There was an article today out of it was New York Post, I believe it was, and that said over 40% of the people in New York City can't afford to live there and are actively looking for a way to get out. Well, this is from a city and a state that is over-legislated so much that they need the tax money, so they've overtaxed so much that people can't afford to live there. They're trying to get out of this place to where New York City is going to end up. And listen, this hurts me because that's my hometown. I live in Florida now, but I'm from New York City, and it's going to end up looking like like Detroit or any other old Democrat city that's been legislated to the point where it's vacant. And there's buildings falling down, and what in Detroit they're growing crops in downtown now because they've got the vacant land.
You know what? I just made the connection between this bill and New York. And that is that so many Floridians, so many New Yorkers have moved to Florida.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why there are crazy gun stories in Florida because, well, I mean, aside from the heat and the humidity and the occasional hurricane, you have New Yorkers.
Yeah. Listen, they're not ready for the temperature when they come down here. The heat gets them and it dries up the brain juices, and it's over with. They start thinking crazier.
All right, hey Mike, tell everybody about Arms Room Radio and when, where, and how they can tune in.
Yeah, thank you. And listen, thank you for wearing the Arms Room Radio gear today, Craig. At least somebody here on the interview did it. So I appreciate you wearing our shirt.
Well,
Arms Room Radio, we're heard around the country, 25, 30 markets, somewhere on that. But you can go on the armsroomradio.com, listen to us there, catch up all of our past stuff at SoundCloud or on iTunes. And I do want to say hello to my friends over at Splitter Customs today. I'm hanging out with those guys. And if you go to splittercustoms.com, it's splittercustoms.com. You can see some phenomenal design work these guys are doing on the firearms industry right now. It's crazy. I'm just here walking around with my mouth open, drooling.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to have to see if I can get by. I'll go by their website and I'll have to check it out. Mike, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on. You know that you are always welcome. So if there's ever anything you want to do a shout out about, just feel free to give me a holler, my friend.
Thank you, Craig, and the same back to you for Arms Room Radio.
All right, folks, that is Mike Piwowarski with Arms Room Radio. There we go. Where are we at? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to turn. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Having all sorts of fun today. Anyway, remember to tell your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. Tell them about Coffee with Craig because we are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.